The low thud of a court-martial gun echoed over Portsmouth in the calm early summer morning, the grim sound telling the world of the naval drama about to take place. Its ominous portent also stilled the conversation on the fore lower deck of the old receiving ship lying further into the harbour. There, Thomas Kydd's pigtail was being re-clubbed by his closest friend and shipmate, Nicholas Renzi. "I wish in my bowels it were you," Kydd said in a low voice. He was dressed in odd-fitting but clean seaman's gear. Like Renzi, he was a shipwrecked mariner, and his clothes were borrowed. A court-martial would try the sole surviving officer, and Kydd, who'd been on watch at the helm at the time, was a principal witness. There was a muffled hail at the fore hatchway. Kydd made a hasty farewell and clattered up the broad ladder to muster at the ship's side. The larboard cutter bobbed alongside to embark the apprehensive witnesses. In the curious way of the Navy, Kydd joined diffidently with the petty officers, even though with the death of his ship his acting rate had been removed, and therefore he was borne on the books of the receiving ship as an able seaman. His testimony, however, would be given as a petty officer, his rate at the time. The pleasant boat trip to the dockyard was not appreciated by Kydd, who gulped at the thought of crusty, gold-laced admirals and captains glaring at him as he gave his evidence, which might well be challenged by other hostile officers. In fact, recently, it had not in any way been a pleasant time for Kydd and Renzi. Their return as shipwrecked sailors to the land of their birth had been met with virtual imprisonment in a receiving ship. At a time of increasingly solemn news from the war, it was a grave problem for the authorities how to announce the loss of the famous frigate Artemis. Their response had been to keep the survivors from the public until a course of action had been decided after the court-martial, with the result that both Kydd and Renzi had not been able to return home after their long voyage. As far as could be known, their loved ones had had no news of them since the previous year, and that from Macao, their last touching at civilization. The cutter headed for the smart new stone buildings of the dockyard. The last half of the century had seen a massive expansion of capability in the foremost royal dockyard of the country, and it was a spectacle in its own right, the greatest industrial endeavour in the land. As they neared the shore, Kydd nervously took in the single Union flag hanging from the signal tower. This was the evidence for all eyes of the reality of a court-martial to be held here, ashore, by the port admiral. The court would normally meet in the great cabin of the flagship, but the anchorage at Spithead was virtually empty. Admiral Howe's fleet somewhere in the Atlantic looking for the French.